Okay. All right. You know what? I'm glad we had the little break. We took a break. I'm glad we took the break. It's like an intermission, right?
Mhm.
So let me do this. Moses and Aaron go before the Pharaoh several times, right? And make basic demands. Now, when you look at us as a people being scattered amongst the nations, now I'm going to focus mostly on the United States because that's where we are, right? And I was talking about Israel, when we left, talking about the continent of Israel and us being beyond the rivers of Cush. But for right now, let's look at, say we are beyond the rivers of Cush even right now, right? So in this country, from the time Frederick Douglass was in communication with Abraham Lincoln, and those our forefathers were talking about our freedom, gaining our freedom. They were going to the leadership. And we can look at the leadership of this country as one man, right? And we look at those that are our ancestors or our forefathers that have gone before them as one man. So we're repeatedly going to the government of the United States to say, you need to, give us our freedom.
Let our people go.
Let us go, right? In that time, they were discussing whether they were going to let us go to Haiti or, they created Liberia, which is still there. And some of the people were able to go. Some of the people went to New Zealand, not New Zealand, but Greenland. Some of the people are up in Greenland,
Wow.
escape all up there around it. We were everywhere. We are everywhere. But in this country, we have been going to the government on a continual basis saying, give us our freedom or let us go. We're just doing it. Talking about, we got to create laws to keep from being lynched and different laws, and in California, I sent an email out California this week from California, how they have suggested you should have stayed there a little longer, brother. But you'd have to be there.
Over here like, tell me more. Like,
you'd have to be there for you had to be there for about 10 years or so. They're going to they want to, and then they go to the government, the California legislature, and they want them to give everyone that is a descendant of the slave trade $5 million.
Wow.
That's not a lot of money, but it's enough.
I was about to say, we're probably, 40 acres and a mule translates to even more than that in today's, but it's a start. It's a start.
Yeah, it's a start. Yeah. So, and this is in California. I sent the email around. I forwarded it. I think I forwarded it. I don't know if I forwarded it to the group I sent it out. But this is going on. This is ongoing. And so many of us have already left the country. But the leadership is always crying out to the government, let us go. Now, are we doing it just to the government, or we should be taking it to the Father, because the Father says, I hear your prayers and I'm going to deliver you, right?
Yeah.
So this is a continual thing. We're doing this. This is a repeat, is all I'm saying. Is this is a repeat. We're doing the same things over and over again. We're going to the nations and saying, let us go.
Rabbi, can I ask this question? So I've always kind of seen it as once we gain enough of a national identity back into who we are, then we'll be able to give a collective shout to the Father that will kind of release or access. But we look back into scripture and it was one man. It was Moses. I mean, Moses and Aaron, but essentially one man that went and said, let us go. We go back to Babylon. I mean, it was essentially, always just one person that God would send, and somehow they would break through and they would get that release. Is that how it's going to work here, do you think? Is it going to be one person that rises up and is able to get that release? Or is it going to be more of a collective, or is it going to be an and instead of an or, both the collective identity, which raises up the one man? How do you see that working out as far as how that'll play out here in America?
When we're looking scripturally, if we're looking at it that way and doing a comparative analysis of what's going on, or looking back at the past performance, past actions, we will see that keeping in line with the Torah and with the prophets, we know that there's going to be someone to come forward fighting on our hand before the Messiah comes.
Yeah.
Because Messiah is going to be the one, just like Moses, who's going to actually get us out of here, right? But there are going to be other people working with the Messiah, bringing us in, our leader.
which it seems like the government knows that, which is why the FBI has always kept profiles on suppressing the Black Messiah. I mean, we've seen, all the files in which, why they kept files on MLK, why they kept files on Malcolm X, Garvey, all these guys. And they say, there's movies out now that talk about how they've always known and always wanted to suppress anybody who could be a potential Black man. I mean, even down to somebody like Tupac, right? Anybody who could eventually has the voice to be the Black Messiah. So that makes sense, and it aligns with, like, they know, and they know the scripture, and they know what the prophecy is. And so even though they're working in the secular realm, there's a spiritual aspect that they know that they have to suppress that Black Messiah that will come and act in the place of a Elijah or Moses or whoever else it may be.
In Egypt, they had the Magi, or these magicians, working along with the leadership, with the government. That is the beast and the false Messiah, or the false prophet. That's what's happening in Egypt at that time. They have the beast, which was the government, or the Pharaoh, and his false prophets, which are his magicians, who counterfeited, right? Tried to counterfeit whatever the Father did through Moshe Rabbeinu. Whatever he did, they tried to counter it.
Right.
So it's showing us, and this is, again, how the beast system works. So they know, and they knew what was going on with Moses. They knew, even in Abraham's time, they knew what was going to happen with him. Who were the prophets of that time, the false prophets of that time. Again, remember, we know that spiritual entities just operate, right? We know that it says that when the sons of God came before the Father, that one came up and said, "I will be a lying spirit in their mouth." Spirits do a job. Saying, and that never changes. So even today, that same thing is happening. They're trying to kill us through abortion, through stand your ground, and they celebrate when they kill us. They're lifted up and celebrated as patriots when they kill us.
Right.
See, many times, policemen killing us, and they're trying to get them off, and they're getting them off. These are the same things that were happening then. Moses killed an Egyptian, and he also killed, or he didn't kill one of his own people, but he intervened into. You said, "Why are you all fighting each other? You're brothers." But to the Egyptian, he killed. He didn't kill his brothers, but he killed that Egyptian. You see, and those things are happening right now. We're trying to talk to our brothers and say, "Look, we need to stop fighting each other. We need to stop castigating each other, and we need to stop airing our dirty laundry amongst," because that's what they want to do. They use those things against us. We need to have a love for each other, so much love for each other, that no matter what they say, we're not going to go against each other. Not in public. I said this on last week. Not in public. If we have a beef with each other, not in public. Public is not the place, because, again, they use us against ourselves. They use the Israelites against themselves many times.
It's been a brainwashing that's occurred that, we carry out the agenda for them at this point. We are some of the biggest proponents of Planned Parenthood and et cetera, et cetera. And there's 80% of Planned Parenthoods are within walking distance of a Black neighborhood. And then we wonder, we don't wonder why that is, yet we go and use it at a higher rate than any other race, taking away our voting power, taking away who knows, who we've taken away through that process. Man, it's deep.
That made me that made me think of the discussion that another part of the discussion we were having this morning. And when I brought the other song that I mentioned to you guys out, my husband brought another song that it triggered for him. And in the song, he was like, "Is this propaganda?" Or, and it's a certain person's gospel singer song. But I was like, no, he might be doing this with right intention. But the lie that it's like, even without some people realizing they're, helping and aiding the agenda, they are. And it is a people of our people and has the gift and can pull the emotions and strike the musical chords like we like it. And so it has that effect on us until we started to listen to it for what it's actually saying and realize there's some messaging in there that's not quite right. And so that's that's another one of those things where it's like the system, when we talk about the Mitzrayim system, the Babylonic system, all of that, it's like the system itself causes them where it's like they now think the wrong thing is right. And so people will tell you, it's my right, it's my body, my choice. And I'm like, yeah, there's a person, a being in this space that's not getting the choice that you're forgetting about. But no, my body, my choice, to the point where we could not even see that as murder. We go, oh, it's a zygote, it's a little small cell, clump of cells, and the things that we tell ourselves to justify and to say, I'm not a murderer, I didn't just kill this baby that was inside my womb and stuff. That's how far we've come from how we once thought. It wasn't even but a few years ago where we couldn't even fathom in our community that being a normal thought for us. But the movement has come and the agenda so quickly that it's, so quickly but slowly, because it's like, of course, there's that slow fade of how it got to where it is. But then it's like, now it's like something is in the atmosphere where there's a rush about it, where it seems like they're in a hurry, to get people to, and you see people getting angry for a cause that isn't even theirs and works against them because they don't have a clue,
And Sister Daniels, to that point, and if we go back to Margaret Sanger, we have evidence of papers that she wrote to colleagues that's, was saying, if we could just get one of their preachers, if we could just get one of those Black preachers to tell them this is okay, they'll believe it, right? And they'll show infiltration in that way. And the other thing that I wanted to say to that is, not only is it a sense of murder, but like, this is modern day sacrifice to Molech. I mean, this is just the modern day version. We just become more sophisticated in sacrificing our children to Molech. Now they don't have to come out the womb to do it, but it's the same ancient evil, it's the same ancient demon going back into the scripture, going back into the Torah. This is child sacrifice happening, giving these babies to Molech, and we're not even seeing it, throwing them into the fire, and we're not even seeing it. So even taking it to that extent, it's scary.
Yeah.
And that's a lack of spiritual knowledge.
Yeah. Just think about what's going to happen in the parish that's coming up soon. I'm jumping ahead of the game because, again, as we said, we use our own people to destroy us. Right? Our own people. And one of our reasons is because we really don't know who we are. We have no identity. And if you talk to people and they don't have a clue. People don't even have a clue, but they can call on Jesus and don't have a clue still, and don't even know who he is. Right. Really don't know who. All they know is this name. So all I got to do is know the name. All I got to do is know that. What kind of foolishness is that? Just because I know a name, I can call a name. That's all. That's brainwashing. Because you don't know who you are. Right. We have to find out who we are. And the reason we can destroy each other like we do is because we don't know who we are. And just as they said, let us find a preacher, get their leadership, and we can get them. Guess what? It's the same thing. It happens the same way. The leadership, we must return to the teachings of our forefather, the Tanakh, the Torah, so that we can have a true understanding of who Yeshua really is and what he really came to do. And our part, the part that we're to play, Malcolm X was killed by who?
His own brother. Nation of Islam.
His neighbor. In the spiritual sense.
I saw a Black woman saying that she wanted to kill Martin Luther King. She was glad he was dead. Out of her mouth. So our own people, and they talk about the leadership when they were talking about Martin Luther King's day. I was reading some of the Jewish writings about and they get down to when they start, it turn right around the same voice, talk about how the leadership of the day. Who do we have today that is not really out there? Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and how they are anti-Semitic.
The fact that you got to think this hard shows that there's a lack of leadership today.
Who is it out there right now? Who is it? Who are these guys? And I grew up with these guys, right? And I'm forgetting who they are, I really, it's not history for me because I lived it with them guys. We're in the same age group. According to Lisa and I, we did some marching.
I mean, well, there's leaders today, but they're going in a different direction and using a different method and stuff. So I know there's this,
they want to and find fault with all of our leaders. Every one of them. And I'm talking, these are Jews saying this, that are against our leaders, right? But they don't talk about their part in the slave trade. And they had a part. They had a part, right? I know experientially that they had a part. In my lineage, I know they had a part. I don't have to rely on what, I know what happened in my family.
Yeah.
That's how I became a Jew, right? Have that Jew gene in me. That's how I know. So, you know, but they want to, you know, destroy those that are standing up, that in their mind, they want to really do the right thing. But they won't do that to themselves. They will not call their own people out. That's all I'm saying is they will not call their own people out for the wrong they've done. Most of them. Now, you do have some today that are doing it. But as a whole, they're not going to do it. They're not going to talk about their part in the music industry or in Hollywood, even though they'll say, well, we were able to go into Hollywood. Why? Because they didn't wear their kippah and they didn't wear their tzitzit. They just go in and they're white. So they can get those parts. But if you go in there, we went in there, where were we? We could be a maid or we could do something, but we could not run the industry and get the wealth from it like they could. And this is the truth. They might get mad at me, but it's the truth. And I'm not anti-Semitic because I am Semitic, right? Yeah, you know, they said the same thing about, well, you know, our brother, you know, that disappeared here a while back. How can it, you know, that shows your bigotry. Now, the only Jews that you'll see standing with Martin Luther King are Europeans. You don't see that there are black, you know that? From Matthew Wentworth's roots, or from, you know, Rabbi Ford's roots, they're in that group that are Jews, that say they're Jews, but you don't see their picture in the front line because they blend in with Martin Luther King, look just like Martin Luther King. So you couldn't distinguish them and say that these are the Jews. They're saying, we are the Jews. That's what they're saying. We are the Jews. It doesn't go in my head. It's not going over my head. I see what you're doing. You should have the black leadership up there that were with Matthew Wentworth and with Rabbi Ford and Rabbi Parrish. Those are our Jewish fathers in this country that were from Rabbi Parrish from Ethiopia. Rabbi Ford went to Ethiopia. We were in communication with Ethiopia before they even knew Ethiopia was there as a nation of Jews. We were there. I call them out because I know the history, not by what's just in the books, but by the people I know. And we talked about these things. We still talk. And a lot of those patriots are passing on, have passed on now. Rabbi Parrish, not long ago, living in Ethiopia. So, you know, this whole thing is a setup, and we have to understand and realize our part is greater than what we've been handed. And it is up to us to take our position on our own, and because we have the power to do it. We are Mashiach. We are anointed. When I say Mashiach, I mean we are anointed. Our Mashiach, our leader, HaMashiach, is coming back. But while we're waiting for him to come back, let's not be idle at our business, at his business, our Father's business. Yeshua was busy about his Father's business. Yeshua was busy about our Father's business. We are in Yeshua. Yeshua is in him. We are one. We are to be busy about his business. That is operating in the spirit of Eliyahu HaNavi, operating in the spirit of Elijah. What does that do? That is unifying our brothers and sisters, telling them, as we say, stop fighting in public. Stop denouncing each other in public. Stop lifting up other nations above yourself in public. But talk about our accomplishments as a people, as individuals, and promote from within, meaning from within our community of Israelites. People that are finding out who they are, and more importantly, knowing whose they are. That's what we're doing today. That's why we have this program today, keeping it real, you know, making it alive to you, you know, that are listening. And I hope that I'm stirring you up and making you angry. I hope to anger you in some instances. so that maybe you'll go back and do the research and find out, oh, I really am an Israelite. I'm not a Gentile.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Yeshua is Mashiach. Oh, Yeshu. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to use a different name, I'm going to say Yeshu. You know, they make this thing about, should we use Yeshua, Jesus, or Yeshu? We can use Yeshua and we can use Yeshu. You can keep that Greek stuff. Oh, I know I made some people mad with that. That Catholic church stuff. You can keep that stuff.
It's all Greek to me.
yeah. You know, and that's some good things done out of that, right? But that's a gateway to get you back to the Torah. That's all it is. It's a gateway to get you back to the truth. You know, when you're led by the Spirit and you start seeing what's in the Torah, you start saying, wait a minute, that's happening again today. That happened then, it's happening now.
Yeah. I even thought about the after we were reading the Torah portion, I went into Yashar just to see the correlations, and there was this part where it describes what was happening to the earth with the plagues, and there was one that was touching the earth and the herbs and things of that nature, to the point of where they couldn't grow their things, and so they were happy when the locust came, that says, you know, because even though they were more herb eating people, it seems like, but it was like, now it's like, we'll compromise, we'll have this locust, because what else do we have? And so they started seasoning it, and I caught two things: that they were herb eating people, you know, so like locust was a compromise for them. And then the second thing, I was like, all of a sudden the revelation started to come to me. I was like, everyone's taking on this thing of, oh, let's grow our own foods and et cetera, because things are coming. But I was like, if Yah decides he's angry at this earth and angry at this land, you could grow your foods if you want to. And I think it was reading that, and also I had just walked our land, you know, and when I was walking out back, I was seeing, like, we had just come back and it was lots and lots of rain. We've been receiving lots and lots of rain. And at first I was like, oh yay, all our things were growing. As I told you, we found like some tomato where we didn't even plant tomato, and it was looking real good. And then all of a sudden it went to the opposite, and it was looking really bad, and the land was overly moisturized. And so I was like, all of a sudden I was like, y'all can do things with the earth while people are making their plans, where it's like, you know, you be like, we got to get out of here, you know, while you thinking that, yeah, we gonna plant stuff because we know famine is coming and all of that. And if he's like, no, go to this land, and you're like, no, we're gonna do it right here, you know, that could be a hot mess for you too. And we had that even where they left the land after it had been scourged and plagued and all of that. And it's like they forgot about them plagues that had just hit the land they left, and we're talking about better that you had left us there where we had scallions and stuff. I'm like, you forgot that whole land was destroyed? Would you have found the scallions there?
You know what? Let me mess you up with this now. Let me mess you up a little bit. The Israelites left where they were and went into Egypt during the famine, right? But now, was it 2019, right? Lots of Israelites have been going to the continent and going back to the continent of Africa.
Right.
Africa is supposed to be this they call it the dark, or what they call it, the black nation, or dark nation, or you know, give it a negative connotation. But when you're on the continent of Africa, tell me somewhere else in the land where you could go down and by accident be washing out or cleaning out your garden and find gold and diamonds. It's supposed to be cursed. How can you, and you washing the streets down and find gold in the streets they wash down in South Africa? You know, but why would the Father put a cursed people in a blessed land like this continent of Africa? You know, Tanzanite. You go to Tanzanite, and you know, all through, and the best, you get the cocoa and the coffee and all this thing is right there on the continent. And many of us, again, are leaving and going to that land because the famine is coming. All the things we've been reading about and hearing about, you know, like when Noah was building the ark and the message is going out, you need to get out. And it's African folk, it's Israelites that are saying, get out of America and go to the continent of Africa because something is coming. It's happening, and we see it happening. We've got California flooding. We've got the Midwest is snowing. We've got earthquakes going on all over the place. We've got murdering and theft and sickness and disease. You name it, it's happening.
Yeah, Rabbi, every time I travel, like what you guys know, because when I come back, I'm like, sorry, I have a fever and can't sing for you. Every time I travel now, I get sick.
Yeah.
Every time I travel. So to the point where someone invited me to something, I'm like, I'm not going back up there. I don't know what y'all got up there. But so we have to, and I remember how we even got to where we currently live, and it was y'all just told us to get up and get out. Like things were troubled where we were. Yeah. And it was like both spiritually and naturally, there were just some things that just were unsettling and unright. And so we got up and we left when people were telling us, oh, we know of people who left and they came back and you won't stay long. They were expecting us to come back. We did not, you know? Wow. And so we were having that discussion. I was like, babe, you have to, like, we are nomads and we are the children of Israel. And we have to always remember that where Yah says to move is where we move. So yes, it's nice to when we have the land is being blessed, but when Yah's saying it's done, it's done. You could do what you want to do with it. Ain't nothing gonna come of it, you know, to put it colloquially.
Daniel, that's so important because we're so trained here in America to be fixed, to buy a home and be there 30 years and blah, blah, blah. We're nomadic in our nature. We are a nomadic people, a people that hearken to the voice. And when he says go, we go, you know. But
by the way, in America,
so many friends who can't understand my lifestyle, how I've been from, you know, Massachusetts to Denver to San Francisco, back to Texas, because all they know is Texas. And all they can ever do is be like, this is all I know. This is where I'm gonna be at. Yeah. You know, I just thank God that, you know, my mom had moved us so early and I got used to like, okay, this is what it's like to reestablish. This is what it's like to set roots. This is what it's like to just listen to the voice of God and go when he says go. So that's such an important point, that we are a nomadic people by nature.
Yeah. And we're not in our land either. We're not at home.
Amen.
And in this country, you don't own your land.
Yeah.
You never own it. In fact, they tax you so hard. After your property is paid for, you paid it off. You don't have a mortgage, but you don't pay that $7,000 a year taxes. Yeah, you don't pay that. What do they call it? HOA? HOA will take your land. You never own it here.
Yeah. We had a personal experience with that with a family member.
Yeah.
And that really upset me, but it opened my eyes, and I was like, And so I was like, don't count on, you know, just let it go. Let go. They say let go and let Yah. Let Yah.
You know, but that's a reality. That's the truth. You have to understand. You have to go in eyes wide shut, right? You have to understand where you are. It is not meant for you to ever own anything outright. They want you to buy things and get caught up in the system where you owe a lot of debt. Because when you're in debt, then you're a slave.
You're a slave.
Right? So we're supposed to be lenders and not borrowers. Why? Because when you're a borrower, you are indebted. That means they're going to go back to debtors' prisons, by the way, if you don't know that. There are a lot of people that are in jail right now because they owed some money and couldn't pay. They're in jail in this country.
Well, I mean, that's if you go to IRS, they'll take you. I mean, like that's I never even thought about it that way, but thinking about it now, if you owe the IRS, whatever, they will come and get you. If you can't garnish your wages, they'll come and get you and take you to jail. So it's already in motion. I never even thought about it that way.
Yeah. It's debtor's prison.
Yeah. But when I was listening to a lot of those things where they were talking about the new world order and all of that and saying it's coming, it's you know, it's here, and talking at like COVID was going to usher it in and all of these things. And they would say like this quote that people were saying in those secret meetings, saying you will own nothing and be happy. Right. And I was like, that's kind of the system now, because we are a capitalist and a debt-driven society. You own nothing and you're happy thinking, look, I got this Maserati. Look, I got this and that and stuff. You don't own none of that stuff.
Hey, wait a minute. You know, I worked in the mortgage industry for a little while, right? And they tell you, one of the things that the broker would say, go out and get some refinancing. Well, these people have paid on their house. They say, get them to pull some money out, you know. So that's perpetual debt, because you refinance it. Guess what you're going to, even if you say I'm going to do it instead of 30 years, I'm doing it for 15 years, you're still paying interest on it.
Yeah.
You pull that money, get yourself a business. You go and you get just enough to get your business started. Then you got to take care of that business.
That's right. That's right. It's the system is set up for that. Literally, like when they trying to determine whether you're worthy of anything, it is a debt to equity ratio that they use. So just lets you know.
I'm talking to an economist right there. That's real. I forgot. Yeah, you know. You know the system.
Yeah, so it's kind of I'll leave it there.
Yeah. So just be aware of where you are and what's going on, right? That's all I'm saying. Be aware, know what the system is built to do. Understand where you stand in the system. I would say, again, my advice is get you some property in another country. It don't have to be the continent of Africa. It doesn't have to be one of the 54 countries. You can go to Costa Rica, South America. Get away from under this system. Have you a place where you can get out of here, away from this. Get yourself someplace. The land is cheaper in other places in the world. A lot of my friends that are from Canada and from the UK have property in like Korea, in the Philippines, and South America, Mexico. They got a place they can get out of their country. We've got to be wise. We have a whole continent we can go to. It's 54 countries in there. We can go to and get cheap land. Now, if you go to the wrong place, you pay a lot for it. But if you go to the right place, you can get a good price for it. And you don't have to be a citizen, but you can get yourself a what you call residency.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you do some things there, So open up your horizon, brighten your horizon, broaden your horizons, we have to change the way we think.
Amen.
The world is ours. Change the way we think. Okay.
Yes.
Because again, this thing is going to happen.
Right.
And no matter where you go, he's going to send forth and get you. So you may as well really own something while you're waiting.
Amen.
Have true freedom, where when the police pull you over, then you're not afraid for your life. You can get out and talk to the policeman. Sometimes you say, hey, take a couple of dollars and leave me alone. I know I speed. Yeah, take this money, go about your business. And they're going to take money, go. You go about your business,
Yeah.
And you ain't worried about getting shot, We can do that on our continent. And I'm talking about all, Israel proper, where we go, right now, Northeast, it's run by the United States. Okay. It's not run by us. It's run by the United States and Britain. It's run by Rome, in other words. Edomites are running Israel right now. Let me just put it out like that. So my brothers and my Israelite brothers understand when I say Edomites are running Israel right now.
According to the prophecy, right? It says you'll dwell in the tents of Shem.
That's who's running now. So we don't necessarily need to go to Israel, but there are other places we can go, and you can live a lot better. I was saying, well, Israel has a better medical system. Then I found out, no, not really, because they go up to Turkey. A lot of them go up to Turkey to get their medical stuff taken care of.
And then we have an herbalistic system too in certain spots that will do you one better. So there's actually Israelites like practicing, not just like, Israelites that have traveled out of Dimona and actually live in parts of Africa, and they're also doing herbal practices and helping people with their health and stuff too. So you have that alternative there. You just have to do your research, I guess.
About Dimona, our brothers out of Dimona are doing a lot over the world. You just don't know. On the continent of Africa, they're doing a lot. You just don't hear about it. Right. You'll hear about the negative things, which again, I gotta say, stop talking about negative stuff. Talk about our accomplishments with our, vegan restaurants and our vegan books and a lot of other health things that we do, and the music that we make out of Dimona. They want to look at the negative things, but they don't look at the positive things that they're doing actually on the state of Israel. They're doing a lot of things in Israel. They're in the IDF. They're doing things, positive things, but we don't hear about all the good things they're doing,
Right.
And we need to promote them. We are one people.
That was a great discussion today, y'all. We got about 5 minutes left in this third session, and so I want to leave some time for prayer. And so thank you so much, Rabbi. Thank you to the Daniels family for engaging in that lively discussion. So much great stuff there today, y'all. Please play this episode back. Take hold of some of these concepts, some of these ideas, and implement them, right? Talk about property, talking about buying property in other places. All these things are things that we got to start thinking about as we move forward here on this earth. But with that said, I'm going to pass it over to Brother Daniels, if you don't mind closing us out in prayer.
Thank you, man. Thanks. Yeah. Again, we just want to Thank you, Rabbi, for your word, your encouragement. And we hope that those of you that are hearing would be attentive to what is being said and apply it to your life, because there is meat there that would really benefit you.
Amen.
And we just want to thank you for his word. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'habanu mikol ha'amin, noten lanu et torato, Baruch atah Yahuwah, noten ha-Torah. And amen. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, our power, King of the universe, who has chosen us from all nations and given us your Torah. Blessed are you, Yahuwah, who gives us your Torah. And again, we just want to thank Yah for again just being with us and putting his blessing upon us. And to that end, we're going to say, Yivarecha Yahuwah v'yishmarech, Yael Alecha v'yelecha, Yisayahu Alecha v'yasem lecha Shalom.
May Yahuwah bless you and may he keep you. May Yahuwah cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious towards you. And may Yahuwah lift up his countenance towards you, and may he give you peace. Amen.
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 Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thank y'all so much for that prayer. Thank you, everyone, for hopping on the line today. Again, a lot of discussion, a lot of meat, as Brother Daniel said in this discussion. So please play it back, check it out. Prayers for our fearless leader, Sister Easter, as she goes and finishes some educational things up, trying to take our family to the next level. So we appreciate her for that as well. Another week, y'all, another chance to do what the Lord has for us. And so don't only be hearers, be doers of the word. Take this, implement it in your life, teach it to your kids, all that kind of good stuff. For we hold the power in our hands. It's just a matter of doing the right thing to unlock it day by day, moment by moment. And so many blessings to everyone that's listening today. Many blessings to you as you go throughout this week. We'll be back on same time next Saturday. And so enjoy your week. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.